I think the general idea of this Chainsaw Man chapter is really good, but I don't think the way it's executed is going to leave people with a lot of faith. I don't think it's going to make people happy. These types of chapters, stuff that's very slow, intricate, back and forth conversation, not really traversing all too far, is starting to get under people's skin. And I understand, I get it. At the same time, I'm just here for the vibes. I think this stuff is well written, well handled, well respected. It's contextually, emotionally, even physically heavy, and it's a lot to take in, especially for all of these characters. So when you're reading it, it feels very accurate. It feels normal. It feels almost expected. However, there is the lingering emphasis of part 1 where there should be more action. There should be more going on. There should be more of an ADHD fueled agenda, which isn't the worst thing because that is always fun to have. But I think part 2 has sidestepped so far away from what originally was expected from this story or what it was appreciated for into its own realm of storytelling. For me, it's scenic, it's beautiful, it's slow, and it's forthcoming. There's a lot of other ways I would describe it, but I don't want to sit here and jerk Fujimoto off that he's the best author to ever exist. Don't get me wrong, I love those high octane orientated moments, stuff that you can kind of just stand up out of your seat from and be like, wow, like that's insane. Or run to Twitter and just blow it up entirely and just talk with everyone. Or see, stuff like this chapter here, it's just very like, okay, I read it, I'm done, I'll go on and read some more stuff. Like, you're not praising the gods, or you're not shouting to the roof or anything. It's just one of those chapters. I don't know how you feel about it. I'm interested to hear a lot of thoughts though. This is a very nonsensical chapter. It's a little bit obnoxious, a little bit over the top, and I wonder what the end goal is for it. Like, how far do we go with this nonsense? How more do we continue to kind of play upon it? Because it works, it does its job, and kind of really well, unfortunately. I think it helps because it's spiraling so far into Denji's subconscious, and you don't see that often. You don't see him confront these things this way with this amount of people, and while it may be kind of a first that we're actually getting to said points, getting to actual locations and trying to be somewhat proactive, as much as seeing a brothel is somehow proactive, we're still actually doing it. We're going there. Unfortunately, the brothel that they talk about is in shambles. It's gone. It's blown off the face of the earth. So, of course, you're not going to see that. But there is stuff here that continues that conversation. I like that. It's super dramatic. The way Denji acts in here is typical Denji behavior, but times 10. Obviously, this is a crucial situation. They're very lax about it. You know, we should be finding Naoyata. That should be the concern. That should be the goal, right? Well, not really. No one's really concerned about their appearance or the publicity or the idea of the world, kind of with everything changing and evolving so quickly. Like, it just feels very normal. And I guess that's the point Fujimoto is trying to come across with. I like that. Like, the world is just changing at such a rapid pace and death is so normalized, and Denji and Asa and everyone else here is such an odd combination, but that's kind of normal too. And what they're doing and what they're trying to do is somehow also considered normal, and it's like just another day. Another day in the Chainsaw Man universe, another day with Denji going through his kind of midlife crisis, trying to figure out if he wants to eat food, find Naoto, or go to a brothel. But the brothel's destroyed, and then he's just got his hopes up, and he is crushed. Absolutely distraught. I don't remember the last time that Denji has gone down on all fours and basically screamed into the sky, and it's super played up, super purposeful. Like, it's meant to be this overly dramatic that people are laughing at him. It starts raining just to really set that vibe in that this is just the end of the earth for Chainsaw Man, the end of his life for Denji, that he could not go to this brothel. That's how dramatic it's become. But with these dramatics, there's a sense of truth to it. It's real. It's vibrating through his body. He's screaming it at the top of his lungs. Talking about Chainsaw Man, talking about all he wanted was ladies to be all over him so he could have tons and tons of sex. Like, he's always thinking with his wiener. You might think he's joking. This is funny when it comes across. People are laughing at him, but he's deadly serious. This has kind of always been the vibe he's been on since the beginning of the story. It's just matured. Not as literal as you think, but the idea of it has grown, it has evolved and stepped around a lot of different things. This is what it's always been about. On one hand, it's kind of cute. On the other hand, very much pathetic. It's just a balancing act, right? Like, what characters are going to feel bad for him? What characters are going to laugh? What characters are going to think he's kind of pathetically cute? You know what I mean? And you might think, well, Asa, maybe. No. Originally, she is turned off by the idea when he's mentioning it in the train card, because he's genuinely, seriously thinking about these things. Before he has his big outcry and outburst, he's sitting right next to her, trying to justify going to this brothel, and they decide to do it. And of course, Asa doesn't agree, doesn't understand, doesn't care for it, and thinks he's a weirdo because of it. But when he starts to genuinely bawl and cry his heart out, her reaction is odd. Like, she doesn't know what to do. The recurring theme of her not knowing what to do, I really like, because we have to remember that as much as Denji is over dramatic and kind of dealing with all of these things, she too has never experienced this level of outcry, this level of emotional volume. She barely has friends, if any. She's very socially inept. I'm surprised she's not overloaded or overstimulated because of the amount of people trying to talk and experience things. You can see the expression of her change from disgust and distaste to concern to a question mark to I'm not really sure on how to help you right now. How do I uplift you from this sorrow when you're complaining about thinking with your wiener? The way it comes together is kind of perfect. Like, the more I go back and read this chapter, the more I take in certain panels, I think, wow, like, how does he do it? How does he make something so weird and jarring and just off? How does he make a chapter so pathetic and weird and cute and kind of oddly flirtatious with this emotional volume of so many things going on? What is he trying to get across here? Is he just writing this stuff here because it's fun to do? Is he trying to tell us something? Is he just providing more context, more of an experience? You know, the more I try and question Fujimoto's motives, his intentions, what he's trying to do, the more I just get lost. The more I just can't fathom what type of author he is, because if this was Weekly Shonen Jump, we know this would go somewhere. We know this would do something, or set up this, or set up that. But for Fujimoto's case, some of these chapters are just like a you had to be there type moment. I remember when that happened. Nothing came from it, but it was great when we were reading it. Like, certain things like that. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I guess it's up to you to decide. I can't decide that for you. I can talk about it and expand it upon it more and maybe make you appreciate or not appreciate certain aspects of a chapter. Maybe you didn't see it this way. Maybe you enjoy my perspective. Maybe you reflect on your own perspective afterward. That's kind of the beauty of it, right? These chapters sit here in a way where the perspective of it is usually pretty entirely different. Everyone's going to view this so weirdly and so differently, and it's not the most complex, crazy chapter will ever exist. It's just different. I like the ending too. I think the ending kind of capitalizes on everything that this chapter is meant to be. The whole pathetic nature of it and idea of it. Because Asa can't do nothing. Fami staring off into the distance, NPC. The students are confused, concerned, and laughing at him. And then Katana Man is probably crying, disgusted that his brothel is destroyed. So War, Yoru, is here to fix the problem. Talking about his pecker being the problem, she'll cut it off. She'll get rid of it. We don't need that thing anymore. She invites him to a back alley. Hey, that's what's annoying you? That's what's ruining everything? Let me deal with it. I can't tell if War is a real one, a true friend, or someone that's just desperate to get this fight on the road. That's how committed she is for the cause. Hey, let me cut off your pecker so we can actually get to business and start fighting. That's what it feels like. And you know what? All respect to her. She ain't playing around. The face that Denji makes to this statement, I can't even explain it. It's kind of euphoric, but it's like pathetic again. I don't know. The final page, the final panel, his face just screams like, wow, is this a dream? Is this happening? Should I let it happen? I'm kind of confused about it, but also he's not seeing War. We have to remember that. That's just for us as viewers. So all he sees is Asa starting to be a bit more aggressive. that's it. I don't know what Fujimoto plans to do with this. I don't know what he wants to do, but I'm always excited, I'm always curious, and I'm always entertained. Yeah, sure, these aren't the most progression heavy chapters, I get that, but you gotta admit, it's entertaining, it's fun. And I promise you, going back and reading this in a volume in succession in a big binge read, oh my god, that's gonna be fantastic. It might not make for the most crystal clear, best, perfect weekly or bi-weekly reading experience, but it's all gonna come together in the end. It's all gonna be worth it. And the finale is just gonna be like 2, 3, maybe 6 months, random guess by the way, of just straight high octane fueled action. Like we have to fight death, Nostradamus' prophecy, hell itself, war, Katana Man, public safety, anyone else that wants to fight Denji. There is so many people that have to come together, fight it out, and get us to a conclusion. It makes me think that maybe Fujimoto is trying to prep for all of that stuff. That these chapters here are the character building moments to get us to it, and then it all just kind of comes out. When you think about it like that, it makes a little bit more sense. It puts more importance on these type of character moments because we got to get through that. We have to understand, we have to figure them out, fix, heal, complete, hurt, whatever it may be for these characters. And then once we have that understanding, we can move towards the ending, which I do think is definitely on the horizon. I think we're close. I think we're going into the final stretch of this story. It may not feel like it, but deep down, I think you expect it. I guess we'll see soon.